Hello.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I'm just adding Ed.
No problem.
Edward?
Nice.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Well, look at you. I can see you and you can't see me.
Yeah, I got my video on. I'm going to turn it off.
You see, I just sit here completely naked in my mother's basement.
Just a quick question. Are we able to listen to it live? I just have Priscilla's here. She wants to listen to it. Well,
Yeah, definitely.
okay, just go to the website.
Go to spacedoutradio.com or Spreaker and look up Spaced Out Radio Show, and it'll be live. And I'm also going to post it very shortly here on Facebook.
Oh, I think I see it right here. I don't know if that's real time or not.
It says we're into it for 2 minutes and 27 seconds right now because I start up the chat room and they're listening to me broadcast probably right now too. Stand by.
Yeah, no, you're live right now. But there's
Let's see how this.
there's a bit of a delay as well, but
Do you get an echo?
no, I mean there's a delay between our conversation and what's actually being heard on the website, so
Okay.
but it's no problem.
Yeah, you guys are both coming across real clear on my end.
These are the best of days. There's nothing in our way. You turn It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com. And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other. Watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon. Desensitized in our lust for attention. Democratized by our voyeur obsessions. Watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection. Don't let them project you as you are. Reveal your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We watched you for so long.
Welcome, everybody, to another Spaced Out Weekend. It is I, James Tyson, broadcasting from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network here on the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. No, my left. What do you think? Tonight we have with us Ryan, STACEY, and Ed Berdan from the other side of Canada. They belong to a group called the Black Light Investigation. Though it's an Uncharted division, it is a very, very cool thing. They are MUFON field investigators and paranormal investigators. They're based in Ontario, and this team and their Uncharted division actually goes out and not only does their regular security, you can hire them for security, you can hire them for surveillance, but they actually have a branch that does paranormal investigations. Ryan and his team conduct their paranormal investigations under the umbrella of Black Light Investigative and Surveillance Services. Now, their team specializes in investigations of hauntings, as well as MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO Network, investigations into possible extraterrestrial contacts, sightings, and experiences. Now, you go to their website, www.blacklightiss.com. Again, that's blacklightiss.com. And you can also follow them on Facebook at facebook.com/blacklightiss. Bounce them over onto YouTube. Google the heck out of them. They're all over the place. Instagram and Twitter. Thank you, too, for dropping in. I know it's the middle of the blessed night for you. How are you guys doing?
Doing good.
Excellent.
Doing good.
Who's got the cough?
I do.
Sorry, I couldn't get it for some bizarre, well, I shouldn't say bizarre reason. It's just the way these things go. It's not being able to cut that. Well, see, now I can do it. It's funny, when the intro music is on, I can't seem to cut that audio out, so our listener doesn't get us talking about them, let's say. Now, Ryan, is this organization, is this yours?
Well, primarily I started Black Light Investigative Surveillance Services with the main focus on doing private investigating and security. I also have a passion for paranormal as well. So I guess in a way, but I mean, the three of us there, Priscilla's also in it as well. It's a main part. I say it's a shared effort between the three of us.
Perfect. Is it keeping you pretty busy?
Yes, very busy.
Eddie, how long have you been involved in this?
Well, I've been involved with Ryan now for going on 2 years, but I've been involved with the paranormal for probably 12, 14 years. I've been investigating and doing a lot of research and stuff, learning all I can about helping people out with the problems.
Yeah, and it's like I always say, we like to say we're helping people, but we have too many questions in our brain. Helping people just is it's a byproduct of us trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Do you find that too?
Yeah, actually, it does become that, because you end up spending a lot of time thinking about all the other things that it could be. You don't want to jump right to the paranormal bandwagon. You want to actually find out if there's something there. You got to be legit and make sure you cover all your bases. I mean, it's a lot of work involved.
Yeah, it definitely is. I was part of a paranormal group out in Vancouver, British Columbia here for 3 years. And it's the worst thing about it for me is afterwards having to go through the darn tapes.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the stuff that nobody sees.
Yeah.
That's the glory of it all.
That and using the any time of, I can't remember the name of the box that makes all that noise, and then having to listen to that for 2 hours trying to pull something out.
SB7.
Yeah, that's right. And I actually do hear things, but it's probably all in my head at that point. You do you find it's this side of the security business is busier than the I don't want to call it legit side, but the other side that you're called out to do security and surveillance?
It seems to be more popular. Obviously, a lot of people, like, it's so diverse. Like, you can cover UFOs, paranormal, ghosts. It seems to get a lot of people talking. Private investigating, it's usually hush-hush, with the lawyers and the insurance companies, and it's all confidentiality. So, I mean, like, there's select buzz, and a lot of people don't come forward to talk about it because, it's all secret. The security stuff is more of a a public awareness kind of type deal. But all in all, the paranormal division combines the three aspects, because no matter what the medium is, the investigation process is still the same. We have to rule out the things we know. We have to figure out the facts, what we do know and what we don't know. There's still safety involved for security as well. We have to make sure we're not hurting ourselves or hurting anybody else. So, it's kind of a one-stop shop.
Yeah, excellent. And when you guys are heading out to someplace, do you is this do you guys charge for the paranormal investigative part of it, or is that primarily you guys charge for the other side?
That's a sticky subject. Like normally, it's completely we volunteer our time. If we have a situation where, say for Quebec, for example, it's about 6.5 hours away from here, it takes some time to get there. So we ask for a donation or to cover the expenses, only the expenses to get us there. The time it takes to do the investigation, reviewing the footage, we can do that all at home. We don't charge an hourly rate or anything like that, but something within the reasonable limits, like something close to home to bury, no.
No. For our listener in the United States, on the East Coast, or anywhere in the United States, whereabouts are you, let's say, relative to Toronto, someplace that is big that someone would know? How far out of Toronto are you?
About an hour and a half from Toronto.
Okay.
North?
Okay.
Yeah.
When did this start up? When did you guys really feel that the paranormal end of things was something that was getting busy enough to actually put some time into?
Well, Ed and I tried this before with a different paranormal group. Ed, do you want to explain your experience there?
Yeah, well, we got these guys were setting up some sort of a group. They wanted to put together a group of professionals that knew different pieces of experience to be able to help them build some kind of a brand. They wanted to do videos, and I think they were looking to make money out of the deal. Anyways, anyone who knows the paranormal knows it's not a money-making venture. We do it; it's a labor of love. So Ryan and I connected through that. That was very short-lived. Those guys had their own ideas and didn't want to hear any other opinions. Anybody with any kind of knowledge was kind of shunned and shut out. So that kind of stopped right quick. And then a while later, I don't know, I guess it was maybe a year later, Ryan contacted me and said, "Hey, I want to start going gangbusters on this. Do you want to sit down and talk?" So we hooked up and started putting our heads together, and this is where we're at now. We've really started growing the followers and stuff like that, trying to get it out there, and trying to work on getting some more investigations to try and bolster what we know. It's all about getting out there.
It's that learning curve, and also, I know out here about 2012, we always use that date, end of October, early November. There was a couple of big earthquakes on the West Coast. And I was told by Peter Wren, who heads the Vancouver Paranormal Society, one of the TAPS organizations out here, and he said before those two earthquakes or before those dates, you'd get about 2 calls from some Joe Sixpack saying there's something going bang in the night. After those two earthquakes, it was like 1 call every 2 days. Have you seen an increase in your calls?
I'm not sure we've had an increase. We've had a lot of people messaging us on Twitter, asking us questions about things. Most of them are actually from the States. Like we've had people contact us from Quebec and New York and different places, asking us our opinions on things that are going on in their homes. I've had a few people contact me personally on my Facebook page, and I've walked them through trying to help them out with their issues. But a lot of the people, unfortunately, what they're trying to report is just natural stuff. They're hearing noises and seeing things move, and taking it as paranormal when it's probably just a rodent in their attic or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the small side of things too, we tend to be an ear for this kind of stuff. There is a lot of it's more like an outlet right now for people to vent or to talk about and figure out exactly what's going on. So at least we're there right now to listen and hopefully provide some suggestions or feedback. But it's really hard to ail anything without knowing exactly what it is we're working on.
Yeah, it is, Ryan, and I totally agree with you. In my almost 28 years as a Mountie, I've been to places where when you walk in the door, the complaint, the original complaint comes through. There's people, they're like tapping my phones and things like that, and you get there and you find out the person has mental health issues and has made really great notes about how everyone in his neighborhood is spying on him. And you are not going to be able to kind of filter that out over Twitter.
No, that's the thing, right? You have to take it as 100% truth, and you know, like, we can't. I don't know if you know this, but like, I'm hard skeptic.
Oh, I lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it sounds like you're at the bottom of a well.
Yeah, your mic.
Yeah, my battery died. Give me a second.
Okay.
1 second.
See, in Canada, we don't have electricity. We have to do everything on batteries.
Yeah, I'm just warming up the igloo here. 1 second.
It is cold here.
Yeah.
It's actually
it's really nice here. It's like 23 degrees. Got the motorcycle out today. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that to people from Ontario. You keep moving out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's brutal here right now.
Yeah. Well, it's about time. It's a bizarre time.
We're going to get to the summer eventually.
Yeah. Should be here in September.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're perfect.
Okay. All right, sorry about that.
Like we were talking about having to, kind of, it's hard to filter via social media, but you were saying, you have to take everybody for face value.
Yeah, we have to assume, like, it's really hard for me. Like, I am 100%, well, I can't say 100%, but 99.9% sure that it can be explained by something. And, Ed's a true believer that it's something paranormal, and I cannot prove that it doesn't exist just as well as I can prove it does exist. So it's to play the mental health card, there are no arrest powers in mental health, so like we have to innocent until proven guilty kind of type deal. And it's one thing. Priscilla, actually, she's the other member in our group. She has a theory, and it seems to be prominent, that a lot of people with mental health issues or some sort of disability, it tends to be common with them, and it's been theorized that maybe they've been selected based on the fact that they're already hindered by having a less credibility, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. And
it seems to be common.
It's very interesting. There's an organization out in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm most likely they're in the United States too, and there's one in Vancouver, British Columbia, and there are coffee shops that set a little back room for people who want to come in and have a coffee and talk things over, and these are people who hear voices and are on medication because these voices are telling them to do stuff. They're usually treated as street people. They're the ones who are riding the buses, talking to Napoleon over their shoulder, that kind of thing. Yeah. And there were some interviews on television with the group and the fellow who ran the restaurant, and they talked to a woman who had about 7 years ago was on medication because she heard voices and was going to the doctors, and they were telling her, like, well, you have to stay on this medication, the voices aren't real. And she went to a psychic who said, no, the voices are real. The good voices are your guides, and the bad voices are just things that are picking on you. So they worked with her to get rid of the bad voices, and she's fine. She's been off meds for 7 years, and she sits around and kind of talks to the other people, trying to...
See, that's the strangest thing, too, because how do we really know, right? Because 9 times out of 10, the person that's saying that it is not voices in your head isn't experiencing it. So it's really hard for someone to accept that because it's not happening to them. But what I'm noticing, though, is these people have very similarities. You know, like and you have to accept that as evidence. It's common, despite whether I believe in it or not. There's so many parallels. Something is going on. I can agree with that. Whether it's a ghost or something else, like, I mean, that's up for interpretation. But there's definitely something that we can't explain happening.
Yeah, I was a skeptic till our second investigation into a little restaurant out here, and where I was having a back and forth conversation to a woman on the other side, and then we got pictures of it was residual energy, a guy pushing a little hand truck out of an office, and I looked at the head lead investigator and I said, "Well, you're going to have to get another skeptic. I'm screwed." Have you hit one of those places yet, Ryan, where you've seen something or photographed something?
No, not yet. But I mean, Ed tries really hard to pull me over to the dark side, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying really hard to prove that it doesn't exist, just as hard as he's proving for it to exist. And basically, what it all comes down to is what we're left with. So if he'll do an investigation for right now, he's doing an investigation at his home. And, like, I'm not looking at the evidence yet. He's just writing a report based on what he sees, and I'm reading the report as 100% absolute, and based on what I'm reading, I'm trying to find logical conclusions to it. And then once I'm able to debunk, as much of it as possible, we're going to sit down and analyze what's left. And even if we happen to come across something that we can't explain, I'm never going to say it's a ghost. I'm just going to say we don't have an answer for it at this time. And Ed has always joked and said, unless we find a ghost taking a selfie, I'm not going to believe it. But, I mean, I do believe to some aspect, because I wouldn't be doing this. I'm really hard to convince.
Yeah.
Stubborn, really.
Yeah, I guess, eh? I mean, I do believe in aliens, which is a different medium as well, but I mean, that's why I'm a MUFON investigator. However, actually the main thing is I do believe that UFO activity and paranormal activity are connected, and we're trying to find ways to parallel them and see if, because actually with alien abductions and the shadow demon theories with paranormal activity are very actually similar. Some people that have been abducted in the past have experienced seeing shadow people, and shadow people are common in paranormal activity. So there are some parallels and commonalities in it as well.
Yeah. How much of your time is on the UFO side of things compared to the ghostly or the things that go bump in the night side?
It's probably 90-10. Like, I'm pretty active with MUFON right now because of the CMS system. There's usually about 60 or so sightings per month, and then it gets spread out between, I think, 8 of us in Ontario. So I'm pretty active on that. There is one paranormal case in Newfoundland right now that's totally being investigated, which is kind of neat. But okay. We do have one of my clients for MUFON, actually the first one that I got, claims to have been abducted, and we've gone as far as getting him hypnotized, and he's actually very difficult to get hypnotized. And Leslie Mitchell-Clark, you're familiar with her, I believe? Yeah. She was assisting with that, and she believes that that something has happened. Like, he's just regressing. It's really hard for him to go under hypnosis, and believes that if we bring him back to the site, that he may remember what happens. There's a missing time and all that other stuff, like all the stuff that goes along with with the UFO. What we plan to do in June is to go back to the site and take a look at, investigate it as a UFO sighting, and then once we're done, we're going to conduct a paranormal activity investigation at that same site and see if we pick anything up. And that hopefully is going to prove maybe some sort of coincidence that paranormal and UFO activity are common, or if not one the same.
One of the things that I find really interesting about that, and when I have a lot of some of the top mediums, psychic mediums actually around the world on, and the ones that help police find people, the ones that work for the courts, and some that work actually for government officials. When I ask them, at the end of the show, I usually throw things out like, where do you think we go when we die, and when our meat sack falls off and our little spark of energy goes on. One of the other things I ask them is if they ever seen anything that they deemed to be alien, and all of them have said yes. They've had encounters with beings in a room that were described as tall blondes, blue light, or little grays poking in their heads in the windows, and having to protect themselves build that protection around themselves psychically, as well as things hovering over their house or in the sky. So I know that is very, very common in people who are sensitive enough to communicate with what we would say is on the other side. They're also sensitive enough to encounter what they perceive as something either from a different plane or a different location in the around here being in the universe. But that I find was really interesting.
No, it's definitely it's bizarre.
Yeah, you should. Do you ever use a psychic in any of your work?
Ed, do you want to handle that one?
Well, we haven't really used a psychic as of yet, but we have talked about trying to find somebody legit to bring in to do an investigation. It would just give us another side of it. But I mean, first and foremost, we both have to be in agreement that this person is legit. I mean, trying to convince Ryan that of anything that's of that nature is going to be a stretch, regardless, because he's so, prim and proper, right to the point kind of thing. He's an investigator through and through.
Yeah.
So he's always going to try and debunk everything you say or do. So we got to really, really find somebody that's going to really get through to him before we're going to be able to find that happy medium in an investigation.
Yeah. Ed, has anyone ever said that you were an empath?
Yes, actually, I find I've been told that I sense things before, like when I walk into a place, I know if there's a ghost or a spirit or some energy there that just is out of the ordinary. Like the house I'm living in right now, I'm telling you, there's 3 spirits living in this house.
When you encounter them, do you feel something on your left side?
Actually, I feel numbness on my left side quite frequently in this house.
Yeah,
I find I get attacked a lot, actually, by one of the spirits. But this spirit, I've had a spirit attached to me for 40 years, so it tends to attack me when I'm kind of at my most vulnerable point. Yeah. And I've been severely injured by this stupid thing, but I can't seem to get rid of it.
Have you ever been to a sweat lodge?
Actually, I live on a native reserve. I go to circles every week. Actually, we just had a naming ceremony for my wife today. So I'm deeply involved in the whole native culture and the smudging and the sweats and everything else.
Yeah, it's you have to get rid of that thing that's been hanging out.
I know. I've worked with a number of different people and different religious backgrounds and even talked to medicine and everything. I still can't get rid of this damn thing. It's been, like I said, I've been hospitalized from it. So.
Yeah. It's keeping you from opening up your... I'm sorry, guys. I just have to derail this really quickly here. I'm getting a whole whack of information through right now. It's keeping Ed from actually opening up to being what is it? It's that spirit is keeping you from ascending a little bit more in your awakening.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Like, I know I got... a lot of times I'll sense and I'll feel things. I'll even see things happen before they happen. But I do feel like I'm deeply restricted by this dark energy that surrounds me. Like I said, it attached itself to me at 10 months old. I traced everything right back to that place, that house. That actually happened in Surrey, BC.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Things.
It's been with me. So.
Crap happens in Surrey.
I don't know, man. It's just one of those things. And like I said, it's just been a lifelong struggle trying to deal with it. I mean, the first 20 years of my life were, it was like, wow, every place I move into is haunted. What the hell's going on? You hear noises and, things go missing and stuff like that. You kind of have some humor in it after a while. But then it started attacking me. I'd get bruises and cuts, and then I started getting picked up and thrown downstairs, and then I got strangled in my bed one night and taken to the hospital with my face and neck all swollen up with bruises. And, it's the kind of thing you can't see it. And try and explain that to somebody who doesn't believe, like Ryan. He really struggles with it.
You know what? In your defense, and I've said this many times, and I'll say it again, is despite what I believe, every time Ed has told a story to the detail, he's told it the same. Whether this has happened or not, I know that in his deepest hearts that he believes this has happened. Is there a mental health issue here? That is questionable. But, I have no way to disprove it one way or the other. I have no choice but to assume that, this is actually happening. And I see the emotion. I see the fear. There is something going on here, whether it's mental health or something we can't explain, that I can't ignore. There is something going on here.
Yeah. And I actually, the amount of information I picked up while I was sitting here, my whole left side went. Like, it's my left side, I guess the female side of me or something, that on the left, for males, it's more the feminine side. And I get my stuff from my mother's side of the family, and that's where I picked up. You get your stuff from your mother's side of the family, too. Yes, your stuff, meaning your sensitivity. Yeah,
my grandmother was actually a gypsy from Yugoslavia.
Okay.
And they came over on the boat in the early 1900s, and she was severely gifted.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, guys, we're going to take our first break. That was the first quarter. Coming up in the second quarter, we're going to nag these guys again and see if we can get them on the same page. Try to bring Ryan closer to the dark side. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Elizabeth Anglin, and on the last Monday of every month, I join Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's Cosmic Passport. We delve into everything from extraterrestrial contact to animal communication. It's a lot of fun, and every month it's something different and exciting. I would love it if you would join us. You can hear and learn from my experiences, and I'd like to know about yours as well. Cosmic Passport on spacedoutradio.com.
Fairies, Bigfoot, dogmen, trolls, goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is your medium Joanna from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a room reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson can be found at spacedoutradio.com. Head to our website where you can join the Space Travelers and sign up for your new membership. You can also follow James on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. Now, back to our paranormal guru, James Tyson.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. We are here, and so are you, on Spaced Out Weekend. Now, I'm talking to young Ryan STACEY, and I think Ed is still kicking around.
Oh, yeah.
Ed Berdan is back, and they are with Blacklight. Now, Blacklight, it's if I go to your website, which is a place that I may go to, does it give an idea of how many of your investigations or how many investigations you guys do in the paranormal, or is that one of those things you keep close to the chest and you don't really talk about your paranormal stuff out in public?
I don't really have statistics on the site, so if you go to the website itself, you'll see 3 sections. You'll see security, investigative, and uncharted. So you click on the one that you want, and it just pretty much gives a brief description of what each service provides. And I've always believed that every client, should be given 100% of our time. So we do one client at a time. It's not a tally. It's not a race. It's not a competition. I wouldn't say it's personal or keep it close to our hearts, but I don't think a statistic really matters.
Yeah. One of the reason I'm asking you that, seeing if you could, if there was a possibility to get to talk about some of the stuff that you've encountered. Now, you were saying in the first quarter that one of your clients, or your first ET client or UFO client, was abducted. Could you kind of go into that story without naming him and just? Yeah,
I'm just trying to think. I gotta try not to give identifiers here, but basically the claim is he somewhere in the middle of Ontario, and he was with a friend, and they have observed what appeared to be a wall of light. And prior to going to the wall of light, his partner, the friend that he was with, had called him, had kind of asked him to go up the hill to this wall of light. And later on, we're finding out that this friend heard a voice inside his head. And the client that I have is not the friend that heard the voices that called him up to the hill. That guy actually is anonymous. He doesn't want to be found. He doesn't want to be talked. So the client that I'm dealing with is trying to figure out what actually happened with enough evidence to convince the other guy to come forward. And so far with getting him hypnotized and stuff, we haven't been able to figure out what exactly had happened, but there's about 45 to an hour of missing time that they can't account for, and which is common with abductions as well. mean, this guy, I went up and I interviewed him, and I have him on video, and I analyzed the video, and based on, I can't see any signs of deception. This guy truly believes something had happened. It's not finished yet. We're still working on it. I've talked to people at the campground where the sighting had happened, and there's been other sightings in the same area that also are a wall of light, and also is milky orange, which is a color that the client had described as one of the objects as well in his sighting. So there's common descriptions of different sightings from different people that don't know my client. And it all happened at the same campground. So the plan is to eventually go there and interview everyone separately, figure out, get their side of the story, and then collaborate their stories, and do a full-blown investigation once we bring the client there. And hopefully, by bringing him there, it may be able to trigger what actually happened during this loss of time.
Oh, very interesting. Now, this campground, have you done any background research on it, and to find out if it was?
It's a native campground. Very little is known online. I am scheduled to speak to the campground owner, who's been there for 29 years, who seems to know as much as he can tell. But it was purchased by his father, who passed away. So I'm going to try and get as much information about that. I just don't have that right now at this present time.
Oh, very cool. And is that kind of the base of your UFO kind of stories? Those are the types of things you'll investigate, an encounter or possible abduction, or do you also do the ones where somebody sees something flying over their house and just wanted to talk to you about it?
Well, the way it works with MUFON is we have a CMF system. So the individual who witnesses something will report it online, and then it gets filtered through head office out in the States, and then gets sent to the manager or district directors here in Ontario, and then they get filtered throughout the investigators that get it. So between the 8 of us here in Ontario, I think I average maybe 1 a month, maybe 2 if I'm lucky. And it could be anything from blinking lights to hocus pocus to, so my job with MUFON there is to, first thing first is email the original witness, and hopefully I get a response. And if I get that back and forth, then we kind of pinpoint what it is, what it isn't. So I would like to say that anything under the sun, really. It all depends on what gets reported.
I wonder if this is going to increase the more drones get sold at 7-Eleven.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's always a drones, jeez.
Yeah, it's just
or hot
crazy.
Air balloons.
I was walking through it was Best Buy or one of the box stores for electronics today, and you could literally buy a drone that looks like a UFO. It's like, well, that's going to screw up some
as
people.
if our jobs weren't hard enough as it is.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, on a good thing, on a scientific side of thing, you get to. I appreciate the ones that I'm able to debunk, because I'm establishing a baseline for what's normal. Because there's a lot of things out there that I don't know. I didn't know prior to being a MUFON investigator. I knew absolutely nothing about hot air balloons. But I learned how hot air balloons work, how they're manufactured, what they need to propel, what they look like in the sky, at night, and all different types of weather conditions. Like I'm educating myself. So now I know that that's normal for a hot air balloon, or what's normal for a drone. When I get something outside of that normal, then we start to look at that closer.
Yeah. That's when I was a kid, back before we were caught, we used to make hot air balloons out of one of those. There was these little white cube things that would burn, and you put them in like steam engines and stuff that you made when you were a kid. We put those under a plastic bag and have a little bracket made out of it on thread, and it would heat up the plastic bag and raise it. We thought that was really cool, and then realized
I remember those,
you're sending fire into the sky, and it's got to come down somewhere. So they're probably easy to find.
Just like those Chinese lanterns, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Chinese lanterns that, thank God, didn't take out an entire town or something, because they they came down. You're in your paranormal gear, Ed. When you go heading out, do you basically carry the same kind of stuff that all the paranormal teams have? The IR cameras or full spectrum, just regular, digital recorders. What kind of gear do you take?
Yeah. We have all that stuff. We have the millimeters and the K2 and the spirit box and IR cameras and full spectrum cameras, digital recorders. But I always go packing with I always wear my medicine bag, bring my smudge pack so that we can smudge before we go in and when we come out, kind of thing. And sometimes, when you're in a place that's pretty active, you'll have to smudge the place to try and settle it down, right?
Yeah, we do, or not we, because I don't belong to Vancouver Paranormal anymore, but we're constantly going to when we've been asked back many, many times, it's a residential school, or an old residential school belonging to a First Nations group out here. And their offices are in the front portion of it, and it is crazy active. Now that's a place, Ryan.
That's really part of the whole culture. Though these guys, they try and keep their spirits close to them. They have ceremonial fires to try and call the spirits back. So in their culture, it's totally acceptable for the spirits to want to stay right here and keep an eye on all their descendants and stuff.
Yeah, this is a bit different because, as you know, and just a little bit to update the American listeners, residential schools, they'd pull the First Nations, or what you would call an American Indian. They'd break these families up from all over the place and pull their children into one location. And some of these children were murdered. 2 of them were locked in a basement in this one school here until they died. There was a lot of sexual abuse. And one of the people that we were having conversations back and forth with was the priest, the jerk priest, and a bunch of kids that he's blackmailing to stay back. And he's saying, basically, if you cross over, I'm going to tell God what you did, and kind of victimizing the victim. And we had, that conversation existed. And there are a lot of just lost souls in there.
And that's the thing, though. When you have such a traumatic event where there's so much violence and anger and sadness, it tends to spur this kind of activity after the fact, whether it's residual or whether it's actual spirits that are absolutely angry and just attached to that place, trying to make a change. That's very common for that when you're having a violent episode like that in a place.
We have in that conversation we had one cranky nun, and then there was one good nun and a First Nations adult who've actually stayed back to look after the kids. And
that's
it's weird. It is. We've been the girl, two of the women on our team. One I was talking to in the foyer of the place, and she had a ponytail and got pulled, and her head just snapped right back, and she turned around thinking one of the other investigators did it. Nope, nobody was there. And the other
That's
girl
what I'd
pinched really, really hard in her leg. What did you say, Ryan?
That kind of thing happens.
I'm just saying that that's what I would have said if I was there, that someone pulled it.
Yeah, I was standing in front of her. There was no one behind her. Yeah. And she just, her head went back, and she turned around, and nothing there. It's interesting. And the girl who was pinched, there were finger marks on her inside of her thigh.
Wow,
it's interesting. The voices. I've got photographs of something we heard coming down the hall into a room, and I can only describe it as like sparkles. And when it came into the room, it was like 7 or 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide, and it was not a human shape. It was just a big thing. And on the IR cameras, you can see it coming down the hall and then into the room we were at. And then everything changed in the room, and we had some voice activity. I've got some good video I should send you, Ryan. I didn't know my IR video camera was on, and I'm walking through a very active house out here. And I just happened to be reviewing the video, and I said, oh, that's on. And I've got the headphones on, the volume's turned up, and I hear, get out. Get the f out.
Really?
Oh, really? and I kept playing it back, and I went, am I really hearing this? Yeah, I am. And it was, and actually that voice, the guy who said that, he said it a few times, and actually to a point where we didn't need tape recorders to hear it. Like, you could hear him saying that. It was very, very cool. Very cool.
See, for me, it would be cool to experience it. I think that's exactly what I need to push me over, is just to experience it. To accept something from somewhere else that I haven't experienced myself is really hard, because I can always play the card, I wasn't there, I didn't see it, it's been tampered. And I mean, I don't just use that as a crutch, but I mean, it's just really hard for me to accept it. But I know, like I said, again, looking at the common stories, and everyone has their stories, but they're all the same, whether they know each other. And I don't think I've been lucky enough to experience it yet, and I hope that I do eventually. It would make life a lot easier for me and Ed.
Yeah. Or you could open up a pizza place. Hold on, Ned's. Yeah. Anyway, one of the things that you have to also be aware of is that you are a good skeptic. I have dealt with a lot of skeptics in the paranormal, and I say to them, "Well, if it happened to you, would you believe it?" Well, maybe I would. Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you ever go out actually investigating stuff like that? Well, no, because I'm skeptical. Well, then you're not a skeptic. Yeah. You're a cynic. A skeptic as a person is, show me, and if you can't, I'm going to go find it for myself. And if I can't find it for myself, I then make an educated decision on it.
Right, exactly. Like, I want to believe. That's pretty much where I'm at. I don't believe, but I want to. And I mean, we look at cell phones, for example. Like, I send a text message to Ed. By him receiving it on the other end, there's proof that something has happened. We don't see the radio wave convert. We don't see the binary code, jump into the satellites and coming back down. But we have evidence in our hands that something had happened. When we microwave food, we don't see the microwaves with our own eyes, but we know that there's something going on heating the food. So I do accept that there are things out there that I can't see, even without technology. Like, it has to be possible, but I have not experienced it yet.
Yeah, which is a good. It's a good team when you play off each other like that. Mm-hmm. You keep each other honest.
Yeah, that's important too.
So it's interesting that you haven't got any good photos yet, Ed. Come on.
I've got some good photos, actually, some Polaroids, and I actually sent a couple of video clips to Ryan. I'm not sure if he looked at them yet. From my house, and
when the camera turned off.
Yeah,
I looked at that one, but I wasn't going to tell you until it's hard to tell until I see the other camera. You need to send me night 3 from the Canon. I need to see the other angle.
I said both.
I'd stop sending stuff to Ryan.
Yeah, yes, I said both. Because the one camera picks up the audio of it being touched, and the other camera picks up the video of that camera being turned off and turned back on.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so because I had one camera behind another camera, so that I could capture what was going on. Because I've been telling Ryan since I met him, every time I set up cameras in my house, something turns it off and turns it back on again. He said, "I want proof." So I set up 2 cameras for 3 nights in my house. And I actually caught video proof and audio proof of the camera being manipulated.
But actually, since we're on the topic, what I wanted to know was the time delay between the files. When did the one turn on? Sorry, when did it turn off and when did it start again? How much time is in between?
That's the thing. I don't know. It stops and then it starts again. It doesn't tell you how long it was in between. On the video, it shows that the camera was stopped flashing for about 40 seconds. Then you can see the viewfinder go off, and then you see the light start flashing in and the viewfinder come back on. So it all happened within 1 minute.
Which is strange, because if it was like a power flux of some sort, it should have happened for seconds, but the length of time is bizarre. And if it was a malfunction, the camera shouldn't have recorded. So is there another video file after that?
Yes.
Same night.
The same night, yes. There was 2 files. That was the end of one file. The other file started directly after that. But as you listen to in the one clip, you can actually hear somebody physically touching the camera, and nobody is there on video.
I heard noises.
Yeah, you can distinctly tell when something's touching your camera.
But I don't know for sure if that was someone manipulating it.
Well,
but that's weird.
I don't know. You hear the sound and you see the video of it turning off. It's pretty cut and dry.
It's interesting. Let's agree to disagree.
This is great. I love it when you get the skeptical side. You just like that little devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder arguing.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's cute. Yeah.
Now, how long have you known each other? How long have you been married? No,
yeah, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, fine.
2.5 years.
2.5 years, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
That we've known each other.
Very, very cool. It is kind of cool when you get out there. Do you primarily do residential hauntings, or have you ever experienced or gone out and gone to a known location, a historic location, and tried to find something?
Ed, you want to talk about the Keewatin?
I'll let you table that, Mr. Skeptic.
Well, I don't know. So with the historical site there, it was the SS Keewatin. It ported here in Port Minicle, and it's a museum now. I saw that they were doing ghost tours, and I eventually kind of convinced them to let us set up a table to talk to the patrons after they're done the ghost tours to introduce that we were a paranormal team and show them the equipment to kind of entice the visit. And through that, we end up hearing the stories and everything, and it enticed us to conduct an actual investigation on the ship. And to sum it all up, after going through, we took one of the tour guides, and she had felt stuff, as well as Priscilla, which is the other member in the group. She had, both of them had felt like a presence of stuff, and it was kind of weird all night, and I was just kind of going for the ride, trying to figure it all out. Plus, it was really, really cold. But then it got to one point where Ed brought out his, I call it the squawk box, but it's the, what is it called? The spirit box?
Yeah,
it makes all the noise. It's really annoying, but
yep.
you love it. So he brings out that machine. As soon as he starts trying to communicate with it, the camera that we were videotaping with falls from the ground, falls right to the ground. His camera, which was nice, not mine, but the thing that I can't explain is I set the camera down. I set the camera down on a flat surface. There was absolutely no way that I can think of this camera moving a foot in front of me to fall into the ground. Like, it wasn't like just set on the edge. It was set like further back, so it couldn't, even if it tilted, it couldn't have fallen forward. And as skeptic as I am, I can't even lie and say that I accidentally set it down. I know I set it down properly. I know it was set. I know it was firmly placed. And for some reason, as soon as Ed started, I don't even remember what you said to trigger it, but the camera just flew. I have no idea. But, I mean, maybe
you
the ship rocked to me.
You can say it. It was thrown on the floor.
Well, it's... To say it was thrown on the floor, you would have to believe that there was enough, electromagnetic energy that could lift it. And then you'd have to have enough electromagnetic energy pushing it. They would have to change directions. Like, what you're saying is, like, almost impossible.
No, it isn't. I'm a 250-pound man, and I've been picked up and thrown out of a shower.
Yeah, I know, but, there's 250-pound fishing line, There's magicians everywhere.
Well, the camera weighs 8 pounds with all the lights and stuff on it.
Needless to say, it scared the crap out of everybody that was there, and we called the investigation.
Well, you never. Oh, that's like Ghost Adventures. It's like.
Well, he didn't also explain to you that we lost all the footage before and after that because of whatever touched the camera. Erased the footage
because it got dropped while it was filming, right? So the files got corrupted. But
the file got corrupted, then I guess the camera would never be able to do another file, right?
Right,
Yeah,
but the camera still works.
Well, then maybe the file didn't get corrupted.
Exactly. There was some footage on there. We just lost 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after.
Interesting. Any batteries die too?
Oh yeah, constantly.
Yeah,
man.
same
I recharge
spot.
batteries all night.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a certain point where you take your skeptic and slap him.
Oh, I've been getting close, I'm telling you.
If he could, he would.
Yeah, it's good. You know, Ryan, it's a good thing you're a skeptic, but yeah, no, I'm not going to butt it. It's just, yeah, a good thing you're a skeptic. But there's a certain point where a bunch of people around you just go, okay.
But it's just weird. It's just like, because like the ship could have rocked. I don't know. Like, I mean, we haven't really we're going back this year, so we're gonna go back and we're actually going to be doing ghost tours on the ship, 3 of us, where we're gonna do investigations. Yeah, with the people who go for the tours, which is going to be interesting. So hopefully we'll get more footage, and we'll strap the hell down out of that camera to make sure it doesn't happen again. I like to at least repeat it to make sure that it doesn't happen.
Usually it won't happen if you like got a lot of duct tape and like hold a tripod down. It's
but if it did,
but if it did, then they're just silly because they should usually go for something that's easy to move, like put a ball on the ground or something.
Yeah,
and then tell them not to move it. That'll do it.
It's like children.
When something like that happens, it's usually because, and this is me talking to Ed, that it's usually because something just doesn't like you guys being there.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, we were told before we did this investigation that there was a couple of negative spirits, and I feel that in the area we were at, that's exactly what we confronted once we started trying to communicate with it with the spirit box. It just didn't want to have no part of it. It's basically saying, get the hell out of here, you know?
Yeah.
Basically, but didn't say. We were assuming it said that.
Well, we didn't pick it up because it didn't have a recording because the file was corrupted, you see.
Yeah.
Well, I say it's corrupted because we are unable to open it. It shows that something has been recorded, but it shows up as 0 kilobytes. Like no data was saved to the file. So that could have been because it was dropped mid-recording. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because that had not happened, we might have actually had something tangible. But it's enough to say what to have, you know.
Do you put your spirit box in a Faraday bag?
No, it's in a hard aluminum case with padding in it. I keep it separate from my other equipment inside the case, though.
No, I mean when it's on. If you get there's some bags that they sell at camera stores for if they still do them. You can get it looks like a tinfoil bag, or you can get a kind of a fabricy one. I don't know if they work that great, but it's for wrapping electronic devices and USBs and data cards in when it goes through the X-rays at the airport. It's supposed to keep the X-rays, and it's a way to cut down. Now I've used them putting a transistor, like turning on the spirit box and picking up a radio station.
Yes, we picked up the odd radio station too on it.
Yeah, you throw it in the Faraday bag and it keeps it from picking up the radio station.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to get it.
I like that.
It blocks that, so you're not. If someone says no, it's just a coincidence. A bunch of syllables came together and it made a word, and your brain, which our brains do, puts it together.
Exactly.
But the Faraday bag will keep it from doing that, and if you actually put it in reverse, if your spirit box will go in reverse.
Yeah, mine goes in.
See, I like that feature too of it going reverse because.
Yeah, I try to ignore the one-syllable answers like the yes, no, up, down, or not, but, try to, like, what's your name? Or we had people like named Kelly, 2-syllable names. Can you tell me the name of the girl I'm with? And if we get Kelly, which we do sometimes, well, how would they, on a sweep that fast, how could they put 2 syllables together?
Exactly.
So
there's
so happens to be the person's name across from me. But if you say, what's my name, Jim, it will kind of throw out the 1-syllable ones because it's just too easy.
when we get EVPs and stuff, we do something a little different. Instead of sitting together in the room and listening to it and then saying, oh my God, it said this, we'll listen to it separately and we'll write down what we think we heard, and then we'll compare our answers. Yeah. And, generally if we come to the same answer, then, that defines that what we're hearing is more concrete, rather than power of suggestion, right? If I say, hey, listen to this, it sounds like Paul, you're not listening for everything else, you're listening for Paul.
Yeah, and you'll hear it. And we do the same thing, or we did the same thing. We just sent it out to the team, even the people who weren't there. These are the EVPs of interest. What do you hear?
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to do it.
They send them all into one person who kind of goes through it. Because it's amazing, you'll hear some gurgly thing. One person will says it means, the cat is brown, and then as soon as you say that out loud, everybody hears about the cat being brown. But it's just our brains. It's like, what's it called when you see a rock face and you actually see a human face in it? Our brains are programmed to pick out human faces. Mm-hmm. So we'll see them in a steamy window or a tree or something. We'll see the human face. It doesn't mean there's a human, some spirit looking at me from out of a tree. It's just that's what we see.
And that's why I like to run the spirit box on reverse, because when it comes to, with a word or an answer or a sentence, and it's speaking forward on a backward sweep, that's pretty compelling evidence. It's kind of hard to argue that.
Yeah, and a full sentence or a partial sentence on a backward sweep, and a multiple syllable words. You've got to shake your head if someone says, "Oh no, that could have been this, that could have been that." Well, no, it's
exactly.
How could it? Basically, sit down and say, "Well, how could it be if this is how it's working?" Okay, we're going to take our halftime break, and we're going to come back with more for mine, STACEY, and Ed Berdan from Black Light Investigation, Surveillance. Oh, my God. You've got a long name. We'll just call you Black Light for now.
That's Black Light.
Right back right after this.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever seen a UFO, a ghost, Bigfoot, or something else weird or arcane? This is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, we are live for 3 hours of jam-packed information with the top guests from their field of expertise. Come take a listen and share your experiences with us. You can find everything you need at spacedoutradio.com. Are you experienced?
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to get your product to the public? Advertise with us at Spaced Out Radio. At spacedoutradio.com, you can check out our pricing and packages that best suit your budgetary needs. Whether you're a budgeted author or a company looking to expand, our listeners support the products that support spacedoutradio.com. Advertising with us is an effective way to get your message out. Contact us at info@spacedoutradio.com and get your ads out today.
James Tyson can be found on Facebook at Spaced Out Weekend. You can follow James on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. And don't forget to sign up to become a space traveler on our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Spaced Out Weekend. It's day one of this wonderful weekend here in the beautiful blue skies of the Pacific left coast. And we're talking to people from the east, and they're a little bit chilly. We're talking to Ryan STACEY and Ed Berdan. You guys have experienced... I love the way you bicker. It's it is one of those things that I find very refreshing, that you're not all hanging out and, you know, yes, this is what it is, and did you see that door shut, therefore there must be a ghost, and meanwhile there's a string on it, or it's just one of those doors that opens and closes. On the break, for my listener, you guys didn't hear, I was talking to Ryan about Ouija boards and my experiences with them, and my interview with Karen Dahlman when something grabbed me and pulled my collar. Ryan, what is your experience with these things?
I in the paranormal group that we were with before, we made some short clip videos, and I did all the research, you know, like about Ouija boards, like the things you're not supposed to do. You know, you're not supposed to burn it. You're not supposed to treat it, you know, disrespectfully. You're not supposed to. I don't know what else is it. You're not supposed to take your fingers off the board. All these things, a list of things you weren't supposed to do, and then we videotaped me doing all those things that you weren't supposed to do. And then after doing that, you know, nothing had happened. I went as far as creating a sandwich. Like, I put together a sandwich on the backside of a Ouija board, and I cut it. Cut the sandwich, ate the sandwich off it as if it was a placemat, like live on video, and which eventually ended up burning the Ouija board. And that's because I'm skeptic. I don't believe that Ouija boards actually have the power to do some of those things. And since then, I've been pretty fortunate, knock on wood, you know, like nothing. I still haven't encountered any paranormal activity, and I still haven't seen anything, and there's probably lots of people out there right now going like, oh my god, you're crazy, as if you did that, but I've done it, and I'm still alive, and I'm still here, and I still don't believe.
That's not exactly true, Ryan. You guys had the activity happen after you left the Kuwait in that one night, and it continued for about a week. You guys had things going on in your house that you simply couldn't explain.
Those things were common between you and Priscilla. You both. So after our first night on the Keewatin, when we first went there, I separated from the group. The two of them went on to get a tour of the ghost tours to find out what was going on that way, and I went and did a security assessment. So behind the scenes, I was nowhere near the group. Those two, at the end of the night, broke out in some weird lesion or rash or something. which was a coincidence. We have done some research to learn that high exposures of electromagnetic energy could cause breaks in the skin or rashes and stuff like that. Could cause. We don't know if that is the cause, but EMF is common with paranormal activity. So, but then after that, what was it? It was the
drawer coming out of the dresser?
Drawer coming out. Okay, so this is weird. And I say weird because I can't explain it. We're all sitting in the living room, me and my uncle and my fiancée Priscilla. And we hear this noise, and it sounded like pens and crayons or whatever rolling all over the floor. It was a big bang. We're like, okay, it must have been the animals. But we look in front of us, and the two cats that were in the house are looking in the direction of where the sound came. So we know it's not the animals. So, okay, what is it? So then we go to the end of the hall, and I go and look, and sure enough, I find this... it's a little Rubbermaid kind of drawer set or whatever. It had the top drawer was filled with. My uncle's an artist, so he's got a lot of his drawing stuff in there, and it was filled. It was a bunch of heavy stuff in there. But this drawer somehow had come out and was turned upside down. Now, for it to come out, like you have to actually, I don't know if I can imagine this, but when you pull it out straight, you have to lift it a little bit to pull it off the hooks or whatever, right? It doesn't come flush out. So not only did it have to be lifted off of that, something had to have turned it around to drop it upside down because it's only 2 feet off the ground. It wasn't... didn't have enough time for distance or anything to flip naturally as if somebody threw it. I don't know. I have no idea how that happened. But it's weird. But I mean, Ed's pegging it off as a coincidence because it was within a week of us being on this supposedly haunted ghost ship. And you have to buy into the theory that, these things can follow you home, and, the fact that I don't think it was attached to me. If it was, Priscilla went on this tour with Ed, so maybe it had something to do with them because they're both empaths, they're both sensitive, they both believe in this mumbo jumbo. But I don't know. How do you physically explain a drawer turning upside down, other than
go on. Here's a guy who's a skeptic, but he did say knock on wood earlier, so I don't know what that would do.
The show gets edited, right?
But please knock on wood because I don't want it to happen again.
No, I know. Like I said before, I believe, but there's many things that I can't explain. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, and that's and again, I'll go back to my comment we made right at the top was. The helping somebody else is a byproduct of us trying to figure things out in our own lives.
Because
we're just a curious bunch of meat sacks running around here, so we want to know the answers. It's ever since the dawn of man, last Thursday, I think. We want to know, is there a God? Is there a hell? Is there aliens? Is there life on another planet? Is there bizarre life at the bottom of the ocean or in a crevice? Who knows? We're just a bunch of questions walking around, which is what helps us produce new cool things to play with. Our inventions are all just stuff formed from, I wonder what would happen if I put this into this or done this, that's just us. And that's what you guys are doing. You're out there. There's just one of you might be just a little bit further ahead than the other one. That's all.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, I'm not an idiot as well. No. It's like, what if, just because I can't prove it doesn't exist, I got the back burner there saying, what if I'm wrong? What if I am wrong and these things can be violent and they start attacking me? Like I do push the limits, but I mean, I haven't really encountered anything that I wouldn't try, but so far I've been lucky, right? But if something were to happen, I'd feel like I blame myself for it, pretty much. For taunting it.
I always used
but you have to taunt it, right?
Those silly ghost shows where, if you're here, can you come out and touch me? And then you hear the guy scream and run down to haul in a puddle of his own urine because something did touch him. Well, don't ask. If you're here, could you give me a sign? Could you knock over the lamp? No, you knocked over a candle and the house is on fire. Like, don't do stupid things, and then, or don't ask for something that you can't handle. If you're here, can you manifest yourself in front of me? And something manifests in front of you, and you puke. Like, you don't do that. It's just, it's silly. It's
as long as you get it on tape.
Yeah, as long as it's on tape and audio, and the camera didn't turn on.
If you're going to provoke them, don't be surprised when something throws a brick at you in the dark.
Yeah.
Like Zach Baggins can learn from his own mistakes there. I mean, he's had things thrown at him on a number of different occasions. I mean, that's where they got their first deal for their show. That Goldfield Hotel.
Who's Zach? Who's Zach Baggins?
The brick storm. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, Zach Baggins and Aaron Goodwin and Nick Groff.
Nick's the only good one.
They do some pretty entertaining stuff. But I mean, if you're going to provoke a spirit, be prepared for shit to get thrown at you. It's going to happen.
Yep, it's one of those weird things. It's because our group was connected to TAPS, the Atlantic Paranormal Society. There's kind of some rules you don't provoke, and some of the people, the psychics that were kind of tagging along, their belief is the angry, nasty other side energies are basically just people haven't crossed, and they're the same personality they were on this side, probably a little more pissed because they now are trying to get people's attention, and no one's paying attention to them, and when they do get attention, now they're mad and they want to do things. But honestly, you can get into that whole demonology thing. Depends on what your religious belief is. If you're Catholic, then every spirit is a demon.
But it all comes down to energy. There's negative and positive energy, right? And I mean, even if you want to go to religion, if you look at, Old Testament versus New Testament God was bad before he was good. Like, he's done some bad things too. And there is, you can't have one without the other. And it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind.
Yeah, and don't, because then that's painful. And you're engaged. You don't want to blow your mind completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Ed, tomorrow we have a show on here. It's every second Sunday. It's called Two Mediums and a Large. And I have two psychic mediums come on and they do free readings. It's at 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight out where you are. I would suggest, if you're not doing anything bright and fuzzy on Monday morning, you call in at the beginning there and get Joanna to do a reading for you.
No, that would be a great idea. I don't sleep anyways. I get about 4 hours a night, so yeah, that would be pretty cool.
I think with the time difference, Ed, that'd be like noon for you, so you can sleep in.
Yeah. Excellent. That'd be perfect. I'm getting some weird squeaking. Do you hear that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. It's probably just an alien or it's not an alien, it's a ghost.
They're onto us.
I don't hear it.
You don't hear anything?
No, I'm not hearing it.
I do.
Just a little bit of interference, guys. It's what happens. It's all energy. What's when you're doing stuff on your UFO side of things, Ryan, for MUFON, and that's MUFON's an international organization, is it not?
Yeah, it's more commonly known in the States, but it's the entire world, yes.
Okay. And I've kind of bounced. I follow them on Twitter, and it's very, very busy. It's been busy with a lot of these things like multiple orange balls. Have you been following that?
I follow what I can when I can. Milky orange, actually, the word milky seems to be popular, but orange, whatever shade of orange you're looking at, seems to be a common thing. I mean, there's so much.
Sorry, I was seeing them they were in South Carolina, and in Europe, but all seemed exactly the same descriptions happening within 3 or 4 days of each other, and by people who don't follow MUFON on Twitter, like literally just some guy out driving and sees these things in front of his car.
Actually, I don't know if you remember, Ryan. I was sitting outside my house the one night and saw 6 things take off from the airport, and I described them to you as being exactly the same speed, the same distance, and they were all that milky orange you're talking about.
Yeah, like I do remember that too, above your house, right?
Yeah, it was just actually above the airport here in Rama, but airplanes don't take off like in pairs. So within a minute and a half, these 6 different lights came up around the airport. I'm not sure if they came from the airport, but they all came up, and they were exactly the same speed, the same distance apart from each other, but they all came up in pairs, 3 of them.
Yeah. No, see, what I'm finding common, too, is that there are a lot of unfamiliar aircrafts in the sky. Like, I mean, it's one thing to determine that it's not a conventional airplane, but, I mean, to distinguish between it being extraterrestrial or a top-secret government craft is really difficult to determine, because they'll never tell us if they have anything. And of course we know through Roswell and all that stuff that if they do have it, it was reverse engineered. So I mean, it's unless it's right in front of our face, so we can actually just assume it's military, and they got the information.
They're not allowed out here.
Yeah.
And plus, the Canadian military doesn't have that many jets.
No, we don't have that much money in our military, man.
But we don't know that. We don't really know that.
Now you're getting into conspiracies.
Now we're getting conspiracies. Like,
I got one of the ladies in the chat room here, Galen Chauncey, is a geomancer. Do you guys know what that is? It's like a human EMF detector.
Okay.
Oh, really?
And she's out in Virginia. Runs paranormal group out there. She was just posting here that she's with the local Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia MUFON, and I say it French, MUFON, and she's saying triangle UFOs sighted there a lot near the lake, and she's got a couple of pictures herself. But then again, Galen can go out and take a picture of a tree, and there'd be 12 lizards hanging in it or something. She's interesting. She said once to me that when I interviewed her, she said if we all saw what she can see, we would never go outside.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I want to see that stuff too, and I mean, I'm still establishing a baseline of what's normal. Like until I figure out everything that's normal, it's going to be hard for me to figure out what's not paranormal.
Abnormal, yeah.
Or abnormal.
Well, that's the whole thing. What is normal?
Yeah. What is paranormal, and what's normal to me may not be normal to you or somebody else. Like, I mean, we're on a wide spectrum of possibilities here.
Here's a story from my life that was really bizarre. It's and my listeners heard this one a couple of times. But I was in a bad car accident when I was 16, and it was very, very, I broadsided a guy, and I was in like my dad's old '62 Ford beater car, and wrapped that other car around the front of my car, and I got loaded in the front of the ambulance because the fellow who was driving the other car was loaded in the back, and his 2 little kids hopped in behind him, and there was another kid in the car who had a broken leg, so they all went in the back. At the hospital, the kid with the broken leg came out on a stretcher. The father was helped out, and I saw him being helped out, and his 2 kids were walking behind him looking around like nothing, like wondering where everybody was, why they were there. And I was led away, and I found out later that his 2 children had died, and I thought, well, that was really weird. They must have had internal injuries to have died in the accident, because they looked good and healthy to me. And it was a few years later I found out they were actually killed on impact. So
what did you see?
I saw them. I saw the 2 children, 2 kids like 3 and 5 years old, walking behind their dad into the back of the ambulance, and then out of the ambulance to the hospital, and following him into wherever they were taking. The nurses were taking him.
See, that's hard. That's crazy.
And the other thing is, I never after the accident, after the impact, my car was spun out of control because he was going really fast, and our cars were maybe 60-70 meters apart, or 60-70 yards apart. No, not that far. Maybe 30, 40 meters or yards apart. So I never walked up and looked in his car. So how would I know there was 2 children in there?
Well, that's interesting.
And I could describe, at the time I could describe those kids, but I always had a feeling that it wasn't that bad of an accident because I never saw anybody hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I also, after the accident, walked up to a lady's door right across where the accident was. I was about to knock on it and ask her to call the police or an ambulance or fire or whatever, and she opened the door, screamed, and ran right past me. And I turned around thinking, that's, what, am I that spooky looking? And I turned around, I could see myself standing beside my car. And then seconds later, there were fire trucks and police on motorcycles and police cars and 2 ambulances, and it was just all over the place. And I couldn't understand how that all happened so quick, because it seemed like it was only seconds from the accident to me walking up to the door to me watching this lady run past me to me seeing myself, and then all of a sudden the emergency equipment was there and I was back in my body. Very, very bizarre.
That's interesting.
And I didn't have a concussion. I wasn't like a bump on the head kind of thing where it was just weird. It was, and that, at 16, of course, April Fool's Day when I was 16. So what is it did I see? What was it? And now years later, I find out, they died in the car. And I talked to a medium, Joanna, the medium, who is going to be on the show tomorrow, and she was saying, no, what you saw was the kids. They were there, and they had passed so quickly, they were not sure of what was going on. So they were still following their dad around.
I lost you there.
Oh, sorry. Am I still here?
So did I.
Oh.
Yeah, you're there now.
Yeah, they said that the medium told me that the kids have passed on. Like, they've moved on. They kind of figured out the exit and have moved on since then. But they, right after the accident, because they were killed so quickly, they didn't know they were passed. That was the way the medium had explained it to me. And that's a lot of the times, Ed, that's what we see is the do we get the residual, not residual, but the spirit energy from people that have passed very, very quickly and don't know they're gone, like the kid in the ambulance or the hospital in Vancouver General Hospital, 17-year-old girl in a car accident, brought into one of the rooms. She ends up passing in the room. They wheel her out and bring another guy in because it's busy, and he starts freaking out, telling them to get the screaming 17-year-old girl out of there, because he was sensitive enough to see her and hear her. And of course, the hospital staff were, what are you talking about? And he then describes exactly what that girl who died in the car accident looked like, and that she was screaming. And it was driving.
I believe that happens, like somebody exits their body really quick. They don't even know it happened. So it's very common that those spirits get trapped somewhere, and if they don't find their way, sometimes you have to help them find their way.
Yeah.
Like I believe that there's energy, right? Like just for me to accept this, like just trying to wrap my head around it, because it sounds bizarre, but like I'm looking at. So we do know that there's energy inside of us, and when we pass, that energy has to leave. It does leave. It goes somewhere. So I would think it would just, go back into the universe, kind of just dissolve. But then what's happening is it's actually intelligent enough to exist, for one, which it should just look like a ball of energy, theoretically. But then now it's actually being manipulated to form into a specific shape, describing every single detail. Like, that is really weird and really bizarre. So if that's exactly what's happening, that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I've got a question from Galen Chauncey. Do you get, I guess for Ed and both of you guys, do you get very many, sorry, I'm leaning back in the old cabin here, do you get many EVPs from the other side?
Not really. We picked up voices, like in the investigation I did here in my house. I picked up lots of different. I'm going to say growling or whispering in the camera. I'm not exactly sure. Like at one point, it sounded like somebody saying something or humming. I haven't really been able to make out what it says, and I haven't shared that with Ryan just yet.
Actually,
but I've actually got audio evidence of somebody opening a door that hasn't been of a room that hasn't been used since December 25th when there was a fire here, and you could actually hear them walking across the only hardwood floor in the house, and there was nobody awake to do it.
Okay. Do you think that might have been residual, or?
No, I think that's one of the spirits that resides in this house. When we moved in, there was 2 spirits living here.
Living?
Yeah, well, it's their home.
Yeah.
This is native land. So these spirits were residing here before we came to live in this house. And then when we moved in, I brought this dark entity that's attached to me. And it the other spirits that are here protect everyone else. Nobody gets attacked in this house other than me.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
It's kind of a good and bad power struggle, really.
I have a question, Ned. Is it possible that what you're experiencing is not a ghost, but in fact an interdimensional being? What I mean by that is there's someone on the other side who's actually living like we are, trying to communicate you in present time like we are with them. Because for that to happen would make more sense to me than to believe that something has dissolved and then reanimated itself and is stuck on a loop.
No, it's energy.
You know what I mean?
It's all about energy, and it very well could be a cross-dimensional interaction. We don't even know if that other dimension exists. So,
but if it did, it would make sense.
Oh, sure, it would make sense. But customarily, we've investigated spirits and ghosts and all sorts of different things for hundreds of years. And there's all kinds of documented proof saying that the energy from a human body can move on and reanimate itself in many different forms, whether it be in noises or whether it be in actual apparitions that you can see through. But this has been an ongoing thing since the beginning of time. It's like aliens, you look in you go into the pyramids in Egypt and all that stuff, and there's all kinds of different things, drawings and carvings and stuff depicting flying objects and alien-looking creatures, and yet people are still trying to say that they don't exist. You tell me, is it another reality? Is it another dimension? We could be one in the same. Hell, we could be part of a game that the aliens are playing. Like we could be just sitting on a loop ourselves, and we have no knowledge of what's actually going on.
The Matrix.
Yeah, you never know. It's always good to have a matrix working. One of the things that it's interesting when you guys talk. I know, I've interviewed people who talk about over in Belgium where the First World War battlefields were. Farmers for the last 100 years are so used to seeing the images of soldiers coming up out of trenches, but they're on a loop. So it's like it is residual energy because those people at that time were absolutely terrified, full of adrenaline, and they imprinted there. And they're just used to seeing them. Same with those people who were doing paranormal investigations on Gettysburg, the battlefields there. They've got images on loops. Again, you get some 16-year-old kid absolutely scared out of his wits, imprinting. And those people could have lived through that battle, gone on to live a normal life, and passed at an older age. But at that time, in my opinion, and this is just an opinion based on people that I've talked to, if you are an empath, a person of higher energy in that spirit energy or that energy, and then you've also pumped full of adrenaline, you're most likely that type of person is more likely to exude energy in a place of high stress, high terror, high adrenaline, just pumping it out, and then actually leaving that imprint.
Yeah, that's exactly what I believe as well. Like, and different materials absorb that energy more, like wood and stone, and you've got a 100-year-old house with hardwood floors. It's bound to have recorded some of the energy that's passed through it. I mean, anything that can conduct energy can hold that loop going and going and going. But when you spend enough time in one of these residences that have these energies traveling through them, you know what's residual and what isn't. I mean, an intelligent spirit will mess with you. It'll move things. It'll open doors. It'll turn on lights and shut them off. It'll touch you. You'll feel cold spots walk right through you, stuff like that, where the residual energies that are trapped in some of the materials or some of the properties tend to be more, they're just there. They're not interacting with anybody. They're just like a video playing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But you can sense the difference in that energy. It's not even the same. It's completely different. You don't feel the emotion. You don't feel the anxieties and stuff that are attached to the spirits that are trapped. The loop is just the loop. That's exactly. It's like a video playing over.
Yeah, and that's what we see. I was talking to a psychic medium from England, and she said out there were. There's an area where if someone is sensitive enough, or they have the right equipment, you could actually capture a number of Roman soldiers walking down one of the local roads. The funny part was that you only see them from the waist up, because the road they're walking on is 3 feet below what exists now.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's the thing. The landscapes have changed, right?
Yeah.
See,
but you're still getting that same loop.
So with this loop theory here, though, the interesting thing about it is the energy has to be manifested for it to do this loop. So say it's in the situation where all these things have been ruled out, the loop is happening. So when it gets to the point where the loop ends and the loop starts again, so say it's walking from point A to point B. So this energy is manifested and it's traveling from A to B, and in order for it to get back to A, it has to dissolve and then reappear back at A. Well, so the energy is being absorbed somehow, and then also somehow being recreated at that exact same spot. How does that happen?
Or is it all connected? We only see a item moving from A to B, but is the line of energy always from A to B, and we only see the image going back and forth?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing about the loop theory. It's not like it's sitting there a video player playing the same video over and over and over again. This is over a period of time. See, you'll pick up something going through your house. Well, it's not going to go through there every day. It'll only be certain times where the energy was picked up and recorded from that time. But it'll happen every year on that day.
Well, that's why I was thinking it would be more easier to accept an interdimensional being, because they're coexisting. We're not seeing something that has died and has passed. We're seeing something that is doing the same thing that we're doing, and we're just crossing paths. And if they're habitual, just like us, we have our own habits. Maybe they're seeing things that we do every day in the same spots every day. That makes more sense.
There are people like there's a Japanese was a Japanese restaurant in the 1930s in Vancouver, British Columbia here, and some people, again the sensitive people, can see a Japanese man going from the kitchen out to the door and either locking or unlocking it, and that's residual energy because he did it for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Well, probably not 30 years because he was probably interned during the Second World War, but it's basically they could identify him as the owner of the restaurant. It's not another being or something, unless you're saying that. And same with the opening and shutting the door at Ed's house. Is that a being that, if it's interdimensional, would he have the same door?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying too. We don't know that though. That's also believing that the house was built exactly the same way, or there's even a house in that other dimension. We'd have to assume that the house is absolute in both dimensions, and there's no way to prove that either. So,
and that's the thing that you can't prove with a house like this that was picked up and moved from one property to another, and it was added on to, and it was put a basement under it. So, I mean, there had to be too many things common in the other dimension for that to happen. I mean, you know, it's not conceivable in this case, anyways.
When you move a house too, you don't. It's awkward because if you're on land and somebody had died on that land and is kind of like a tree fell in the forest and clunked him on the head, and he doesn't know he just can't figure out why he can't leave a certain area and nobody can talk to him. You put a house on there, now you've got a house over top of where someone passed, and you have that energy inside. Like the two policemen who pulled into a corner store parking lot in Kansas or someplace, and both of them saw a lady in a rocking chair about 30 feet above the parking lot. And what they found out was that there was a house there at one time, and that lady had passed in the rocking chair. And her image was 30 feet above the ground. Was that, who knows? It could have been residual energy.
I need to see something like this.
Yeah, it's weird. But I've got a question from Galen again. Have you ever seen, I'm going to go to Ed on this because Ryan doesn't see ghosts. Have you ever seen a spirit or anything that was surprised that you could actually see them? Or did you get a reaction?
Actually, yes, I've seen a spirit. I don't think it was surprised. I actually think it was trying to make me see it. And it's the only time I've ever seen that in particular spirit. The dark entity that's attached to me has been hiding from me for years. I saw it one time and one time only with my own two eyes. Happened when I was 10 years old. But everyone I've ever lived with and been with, throughout the course of my life, has seen this thing over and over again. It wanted me to see it. It was taunting me. It came after me. I mean, and not only did it want me to see it, but it left I had a hardwood floor around in the room I was sleeping in at the time. And in the morning when I woke up, there was actually the heel of a boot burnt into the hardwood floor. The print was there from that day forward. It wasn't there before that night.
We'll call that a heel of a boot and not a hoof, okay?
Yeah, no, it looked like a heel of a boot to me. Yeah. It was burnt right into the hardwood floor, and it wasn't just like etched into the floor. We're talking, quarter to half an inch deep into the floor, and it was literally burnt into the floor.
Oh wow!
That house burnt down right after we moved out of it.
Yeah. Well, that's just freaky. Just freaky. This is Gail and Chauncey. She gets way too many EVPs. I should get her to send you some, and you can see what you think they are about. But it's hard, Ryan, because it's obviously taken by somebody else you don't know, and
here's something here that's triggered.
You don't understand, or you're not aware of.
Well, here's something that we can work through here. This is what started me with paranormal stuff. I went to this old abandoned high school with a friend of mine, and it was, I don't know, I forget why it was closed down. It's been closed down for many years, and then we decided to go in there and take a look, and see what was in there out of our own curiosity. And then we got to this one point where we're near the boiler room, and there was only light was coming from the door on the outside, and we could see down the hall, and we couldn't really see everything, but there's been rumors of homeless people living in there. So I kind of, to this day, want to believe that that's what I had experienced. I have no way of knowing, but just to make the story more convincing, I have to imagine that I'm 5'8", and I'm only, at the time, I was maybe 110 pounds. I'm still a small guy, but I was a really small guy then. And the gentleman that I was with was a little bit on the heavier set. He was more closer to like 300 pounds. He was a larger guy. And the reason why that's relevant is because we heard this noise. Well, I heard this noise anyways, and then I looked down the hall, and I saw what appeared to be a woman, and she was wearing this dotted dress of some sort. I have no idea, long hair. I still remember as if I saw it, and it spooked me. But I didn't say anything to my friend Steve. And before I could even say anything or breathe a word, he was running down the hall. And he was running so fast, despite our size differences. There was no chance in hell that I could catch up to him. And I was behind him, and it spooked me because I had just seen something. It scared the hell out of me, and he starts running. So automatically, I'm full adrenaline. I'm full booking it out there, and he doesn't know what I've seen. And I'm assuming that he has seen what I had seen, or I don't even know what's going on. So then we get outside, and, I finally catch up to him, and what does he say to me? He says, "Did you see her?" And when he said that to me, I've got goosebumps now because, I have no idea what we had seen. It could have been somebody in there, but imagine if it wasn't. If it wasn't somebody in there and I had seen what appeared to be, could have been, an apparition. This guy had seen it as well, scared the hell out of him, and he confirmed with me without me telling him what I had seen before I had seen it. And that to me is what stuck. That's one of my main reasons why I'm curious about the paranormal, but I've yet to encounter anything remotely close to it.
Yeah, you're lucky. That schools, if you guys get the opportunity to do this, movie theaters, even active ones now, theaters, older ones, the older theater, the better. Theaters, schools, pubs, and taverns, and hotels, and churches are places you're going to find energy hanging out. Schools, even active schools, because the energies of those that have passed like being around positive energy. That's why they'll hang out in movie theaters. That's why they'll hang out in taverns and pubs and hotels and schools. Very, very active places.
Well, it's where the energy is high, eh?
Yeah, the energy is high and everybody's happy and they like being there. And it is a really, really cool thing. We have theaters out in this area where you could literally go in, set up on the stage, look at the audience, and start taking pictures with the full spectrum. And you'll pull them up and you'll see people sitting there. Just even if they're not detailed, you may just see the head, shoulders sitting in there because they just like being around the energy.
That's just crazy.
And churches too, because churches again are full of, other than when you go to a funeral and everyone cries, but they're usually just a good energy, and the past energies like going there, and they're also looking for a way out. Some of them who've passed weren't overly religious and now are going to a church because they want to know, okay, maybe it's time I should go because I'm dead now. I'm sure there's an exit out here somewhere.
A beacon of some sort.
Yeah, the beacon from the other side. That's when the aliens come down.
It's like go to the light.
Have you, Ryan, have you encountered anybody who describes a being? And if so, what kind of beings were they describing?
Like a extraterrestrial?
Yeah.
There's the abduction case. He describes what 4 foot tall gray, the common gray alien. I don't know, but I've had, he goes into detail saying that that the eyes are sunken and then the nose is short and the pale skin. But I mean, it's hard for me because that's what it looks like. That's what all these pictures since Roswell, New Mexico, the picture's been plastered all over the place. So I've gotten the generic description of the generic alien, but I mean that's based on the belief that that's actually what they look like.
Yeah.
Back to conspiracies, we could have been led to believe that that's what really happened. Not a lot of people know that Germany had a UFO and reverse engineered it before Roswell, before the United States did. And then we get into Project Paperclip and all that stuff, but that's off topic. But I haven't had any weird descriptions other than the generic, normal.
No reptilians or anything like that.
No. We did a vlog on reptilians, but that's about it. We were just doing research.
Yeah, if you guys get the chance to listen, I've got a guest that comes on, Lynn Williams, who she talks about reptilians and men in black and stuff that she's actually encountered. She gets the men in black visit, and she deals with removal of implants.
So she gets visited by the men in black?
She has been, yeah.
Huh.
There's a lady
That's
here in British
interesting,
Columbia that has been visited too.
I've yet to be visited by them, but I've often told myself that until I'm visited by them, I'm on the wrong track.
It's basically once you've encountered something and you're thinking, okay, I have to tell everybody about this, that's when they kind of show up and say, no, we're going to just kind of take that out of your brain for a bit here. We've interviewed a few of those people. One of the things I'm interested in, and like Gail and Chauncey here, she said she never said anything about aliens, but she said there was a beam of light she noticed. She looked over at it, and this 4-foot tall lizardy looking thing came out wearing a tool belt, looked at her, she looked at it, and it looked like it was real ticked off that she could see it, and it just stepped back in the light, and the light disappeared. But during that interview, she never said it was an alien. She just said, yeah, there's this strange creature. And then 2 weeks later, I'm talking to Lynn Williams, who says, no, that's reptilian. They're all over the place. And then it gets into the theory of, like you've heard about when you die, you go to the light, that bright white light in the tunnel. Lynn Williams' theory is, no, when you die, you go to the golden staircase or the golden light. The white light is a trap that keeps you in reincarnation, and it's put here because the reptilian aliens are trying to keep us imprisoned here and feed off our energy and things. It's kind of weird. It's we get, you can get this theory or this reasoning way out here, and then you can get somebody else's theory or reasoning way on the other side, and you kind of have to stand in the middle going, okay, exactly what is right here and what is wrong. And that's why I like having the Ryan Ed thing going on.
Well, you got to find the middle ground somewhere, right?
Yeah, we're not going to know until after, we shrivel up and move on.
But back to the conspiracy thing too is like, well, all these people are fascinated and interested in the UFO conspiracies, but what if that was just a showboat to distract us from something else? We become so focused on one belief that what it actually is might be just so simple, and we're overcomplicating it.
Yeah, I always say, because I worked for the federal government for all these years, one man's theory is another man's conspiracy. Or so one man's conspiracy is another man's policy. The government, it's not a government conspiracy, it's their policy. We're not going to tell you this because, face it, you can't handle a bunch of Syrian refugees showing up without building a bunker in your yard. And I'm going to tell you that little gray people are going to show up.
Exactly. They go into panic. They would go into complete panic.
And so it's a policy. It's not a conspiracy. And when someone says, well, we want disclosure now. Well, yeah, you can handle it. The guy you hang out with can handle it. But what about that guy at the end of the street, building his bunker and manufacturing his own ammunition? Like we have to kind of play to the lowest common denominator in our society, and unfortunately, just because 10 people can say I can handle being told there were aliens, it doesn't mean that everybody else can. Out of the group,
for every 10 that accept it, there's 100 that don't. So
yeah.
We're kind of outnumbered there, so that's why they're trying to keep it under their hat. They don't want anybody to actually know the truth. They've known it for a long time, I'm sure of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? And they don't want us to know, and if we need to know...
It's baby steps. I always think you could be run for president, run for prime minister, run for whatever office in charge, and I'm going to look into it, and if I find there actually are aliens, I'm going to tell everybody. And then you get out there, and because you get pulled into an office and they open the Pandora's box, and you look inside and says, oh crap. No, I can't tell anybody that.
I can't tell anybody. The people would panic. They'd freak out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Same thing with
ghosts. Like my aunt and uncle in Alberta, Canada here, lived in a haunted house owned by a doctor in the 30s, and kids died there, and it was haunted as heck. Things kept happening, and I remember when they sold the house, her son came up to the new couple who bought the house and to the real estate lady and her mom and dad, or his mom and dad, and said, "Did you tell them about the ghosts?" And my aunt said, "Quit. It's not one of those things we want to disclose. We want to disclose that we have a haunted house, but we sold it. We got to go now." Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So, hey guys, I know we're coming up to the end of the hour here. What can you tell us, Ryan, about 2016 here? How it compared to last year? Are you guys going full bore at Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services, or you're still chipping away at it? You getting busier?
Yeah, we're getting real busy. We got to get prepared for the ghost tours, ghost investigations in October. I know it's still early for that, but we've got a couple investigations on the board. We got to wrap up this MUFON case with this alien abduction. Hopefully, we can get a video out of that. We have an active YouTube channel, so if you guys want to subscribe to it, we're hoping on making this MUFON and Paranormal Activity collaboration episode, like an episode for our show. So we're not really filmmakers or anything like that, but we're trying to do a series of what we're trying to do, and got fancy little projects on the go, and pretty much busy with everything.
Excellent. How about you, Ed?
Yeah, no, I've been working on going through all the evidence from the investigation I did on my house. It was a 3-day investigation. Lot of notes I've taken, and right now I'm still filing reports, and then I've got to do the video edit, which is pretty time-consuming. Yeah. This year's been busy for me. I wrote a couple of stories for this woman who's writing a book that's going to be released at the end of this year called Angels, Demons, and Ghosts or something.
Dolls.
Angels.
Anyway,
Demons,
so
and dolls.
she's writing a paranormal book, and I wrote 2 stories, so I'm going to be published at the end of this year.
Sweet.
So we've got a whole lot of things on the go. I'm talking to different people. Like I said, I've had people contacting me to get help with certain paranormal issues that they've had. And then every once in a while, Ryan will be doing a bit of an investigation for MUFON, and he'll send things to me for me to take a look at, get my take on it. So we kind of collaborate on that stuff too.
Yeah, no, that just triggered my memory. I'll also be at the Alien Expo this year in Bradford, sitting at the table with MUFON and a couple other representatives as well.
When is that?
Which will be exciting. Alien Expo.
What month?
It's June.
We just Google Alien Expo.
Yeah, June 24th.
In Ontario?
It'd be in Ontario.
Yeah, it's in Brantford, Ontario.
Brantford, right?
Brantford.
Yeah. I'm still waiting on details there, but all the major guys will be there too.
All right, I'm going to get the folks here to go to Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services and go to the website, blacklightiss.com. Go to the link or scroll down where it says Uncharted, and from Uncharted, click on the spooky picture. It'll get you to their subscribing for YouTube. Like them on Facebook. And I want to thank you guys a lot for dragging your carcasses out in the middle of the night to talk to me.
You are welcome. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, Ed. I'm going to get a hold of you and remind you to come on to 2 mediums and a large starting here at 9 Pacific.
No, I'll be waiting for that. Then I'll totally be ready for that tomorrow.
Oh,
perfect.
Sweet, man. Thanks, you guys. Have a wonderful sleep.
Yeah,
thanks.
You too. Thanks.
And thanks, everybody. And thanks, our friends at Paranormal Into the Night. And good night, everybody. It's 3 o'clock on the East Coast. Let's hear from Ron Bumblefoot Thal.
This is our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free. All that we have is now. If this
That's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Look over the mountains. Here come the mountains. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. On through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead